right? Shalom.
Shalom.
This is the brother Ra'aya
This is the brother Kazakia.
of GMS New Orleans coming at you with another, a quick lesson. But before we get started, as always, we're going to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure to the end. Shalom.
Shalom.
And hey, this lesson, we're just going to get into the fact that as brothers in GMS have a saying down here, Northern Kingdom gets it first, but Judah gets it the worst. You know, you've been having this immigration situation going on with ICE ramping up, and they've been really putting their foot in the ass of the Northern Kingdom, or the so-called Latinos, as they're known as today. But with this information that the brother's going to pull up, it's starting to trickle down to the Southern Kingdom. You know, you so-called Negroes, blacks, you know, Haitians, you know, West Indians, what have you. Because, you know, this devil, Esau Edom, doesn't differentiate, you know, between, you know, Northern Kingdom or Southern Kingdom. In his eyes, you know, you're all, you know, scum that he's getting ready to come down in great wrath on. Because Esau knows that his blessing, you know, he's losing the grip on power, and, you know, he's just about to pull out that sword one last time, you know, to try to fulfill, you know, his enterprise, this NWO, and get rid of as many Israelites as he can. And, you know, still for the majority of our people, you know, they still believe this American dream, and that, that these Edomites, whether they be on the right or the left, still have their best interests at heart. Because what, you know, you got those on the left, you know, trying to come to the defense of, you know, these immigrants and whatnot. But regardless, it doesn't matter. They're Edomites at the end of the day, and you're Israelites at the end of that day. So that perpetual hatred still runs deep. And to you Israelites that just don't want to take heed to the words of the prophets, well, as it says in 2nd Esdras chapter 9, you're going to know it after death by pain. Which, real quick, could you give me Micah 2 and 10 real quick? And then we can get that, read that information. And we'll go to Jeremiah. Yeah, it's nippy out here.
Yeah. All right, this is Micah 2 and verse 10. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sword destruction.
And point blank, period. And, you know, this is talking about arising spiritually from this place. You know, not getting in the mindset of having a 5, 10, 15-year plan or anything like that. You know, we just had Thanksgiving that passed, and, you know, Jake shouldn't be in that spirit of, you know, wanting to stay in America, or, you know, continuing in that American dream, or being an honorary American, because as the next part said, it is polluted, and it shall destroy you even with the sword destruction. We can clearly see how our communities are broken in this place, and it's polluted our people's minds. And then what? Now the destruction part is coming. You know, ICE through Nero 47 is rolling on the Northern Kingdom, and now it's going to start rolling on the Southern Kingdom, and then it's just going to perpetually it's going to continually get worse as we get deeper and deeper into Jacob's trouble. And then what? The nuclear missiles finally hit and wipe this place out. So it would behoove you as an Israelite, you know, that has heard this word, you know, return under your power. And, you know, the only 5, 10, 15-year plans you're making is what? You know, making it to the kingdom.
Right, and just to add on to what you're saying, I had a brother that had posted a video about a guy that was going around saying, hey, you guys are all pointing the finger. You guys was pointing the finger at basically the Northern Kingdom, the Hispanic tribes, you know, not helping them out. But now it's trickling down to somebody who looks very similar to you. You know what I'm saying? So how is the ICE people going to be able to determine whether someone's black or someone's Haitian, or even some of the Northern Kingdom? You know, the dark-skinned ones, at least. You know what I'm saying? The ones that favor Judah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not, man. So like the brother said, man, it's an attack on what? All the tribes, man. You know?
Con, you got that info on your phone?
Yeah, I got it.
And you know, that's a beautiful point the brother made, because you know, with them rolling on the northern kingdom, the average Edomite can't tell the difference between a Issacharite or a so-called Mexican or a Zebulonite or a so-called Honduran. In his eyes, you know, you're all illegals and you're all spicks. So when they really start rolling on the southern kingdom, you know, a Haitian would be about the same as an African American. And you know, Trump also said, you know, recently, look, you know, we're deporting all these illegal immigrants, but we might want to start looking at deporting some of these natural-born criminals we have out here.
Right, which goes back into what he talked about before, early in the year, where if your parents came over here, you know what I'm saying, illegal, we're going to deport you too. We basically want to get rid of what they call a firstborn or a naturalized citizen, right? By you being born here in the States, okay, you're now a United States citizen just by being born, even though your parents were here illegal. He was trying to get rid of that.
Yeah, the birthright citizenship,
right?
The anchor baby thing, all that stuff. But
yeah, this is off of, well, I have to say Black Millionaires, or just say what I say.
You can just read the info.
This is President Trump. It says ends temporary protective status for 353,000 Haitians. Mass deportations set to begin February 3rd, 2026.
And you know, 2026 is looking to be a action-packed year of prophecy. But as I said, you know, Nero 47 is looking to end temporary protected status for 353,000 Haitians, which, you know, are the tribe of Levi. Mm-hmm. So what? Again, Northern Kingdom gets it first, Judah gets it the worst. Because when, you know, a couple of months ago, when ICE was, you know, starting to really roll in the Northern Kingdom, you know, you had a lot of the Southern Kingdom, you know, mocking and saying, hey, this isn't our fight. And you had the Northern Kingdom, you know, looking to them for help, you know, with their hands in the air. Well, hey, this devil, like I just said, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a Northern Kingdom or a Southern Kingdom. He looks at you all as scum that's got to be, you know, washed down the drain at the same time. But you can get that Jeremiah 50.
This is Jeremiah 50 and verse 33. It says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
God, as it said, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah. You know, the children of Israel being the Northern Kingdom, so-called Latinos and Native Americans, and the children of Judah, the Southern Kingdom, so-called blacks, Negroes, African Americans, Haitians, you know, West Indians, were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go. So it's talking about all 12 tribes being oppressed. And, you know, where's that main place of oppression for all 12 tribes right now? America, which in the scriptures is known as Egypt, as well as Babylon.
God, I got a precept to back you up.
God, you guys.
This is 2nd Esdras 15 and verse 10. It says, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. So just backing up what the brother's saying, you know, the Israelites are what? We're sheep, right? You know, and the land of Egypt is talking about what? America, man. You know, so while our dwellings are here in America, because, you know, contrary to popular belief, you know what I'm saying, we were sent over here, right, as captives, as slaves. This was a prison sentence for us, man. You know what I'm saying? This wasn't a time frame for us to get comfortable, as he brought out in what? That Micah 2 and 10. This is not the land of our rest, but our people are trying to make it the land of their rest. But the Lord got other plans, man. Okay, the Lord talks about bringing pain. He talks about bringing hurt. He talks about bringing persecution, right? Sufferings, woes, calamities. All of these things are coming upon the 12 tribes, man. So like the brother said earlier, man, it behooves us to what? Get right with our power, man. Because our people have a what? A big, basically a disconnect. You need to be reconnected to the power source so you can get out of here, you know?
Con. You got some more than that, or?
Oh, yeah, I mean.
Con, Yeah, if you had some more on that, you can get it. But also get for me Isaiah 30 and start at verse 1. Just to back up Egypt, because again, while our people are getting their ass, a foot in their ass by this devil, what are they doing? Going to the left, so-called liberals or Democrats for help, because you got your token Edomites that are virtue signaling out here saying that's wrong. From on social media to these politicians saying we got to stop this. These are hardworking people and all that, but at the end of the day, they're still devils, and they don't give a damn about you. When push really comes to shove, when they start getting affected, when their comforts are taken away, like with food or jobs or anything like that, they're gonna go for what they know. Going back to their own, and getting tribal out here, which it talks about in Isaiah chapter 13, and everyone shall return unto his own people, and those that are found amongst them shall be thrust through. So, for you Israelites that still want to cling unto them, hey, you're going to get cut down. And it's as simple as that. And that's what this Isaiah is going to go into.
This is Isaiah 30 and verse 1. It says, "Woe unto the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin."
Keep going.
It says that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth. It says to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt.
Thinking you're going to find, a political solution to this thing. You're going to hear them when they really start rolling on the Southern Kingdom. And they're even saying it now. You're going to hear more talks about, well, hey, this is what happens for not voting for Kamala. Thinking that it matters what president would have gotten to office, which it doesn't. This whole system was built against you. And it doesn't matter how much you beg and you cry or try to get the courts to give you any justice. That, again, back in that Micah chapter 2, verse 10, this place is not our rest, and it has polluted us, and it's eventually going to destroy you, which, it's quickly moving towards.
Right, Khan. And what did the scriptures teach us, man? It teaches that we're basically, when we're held within our power, man, we're above the other nations, man. So our people are fighting for equal rights, equality, for people that they're basically better than, man. Okay? It's basically asinine. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? If they had the proper understanding and the right guidelines to follow, which is the scriptures, starting with the elders and apostles at Great Millstone on down, they'll be all right.
But, for 2/3 of our people, they want to go down to Egypt for help and trust in the shadow of Pharaoh. Well, verse 3 is going to say what the end of that's going to be.
Verse 3, it says, "Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion."
The very same people you're going to for help are the very same people orchestrating, this persecution and, judgment that's, coming down on you quickly. And, at this point, you have no cloak for your maliciousness, because the prophets have been out preaching this word to you, for decades at this point. So what? Now that we're, really at the end of things, that's why you're seeing these things ramp up, because Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is about to bring about that great judgment upon you Israelites for trusting on Egypt and the shadow of Pharaoh instead of, hearkening under your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, which, as this brother said, when we do that, that puts us above the nations and, gives us that protection. But close it out in Ezekiel chapter 21, start at verse 9.
This is Ezekiel chapter 21 and verse 9. It says, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus saith the Lord, say a sword is sharpened and also furbished.
Keep going.
It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It says, It contenteth the rod of my son as every tree.
And that sword, which in the next verse is going to say it's been given into the hand of the slayer. That sword and that slayer, speaking of Esau, which is, as it says in Psalm 17, verse 13, is the sword of the Lord. The wicked And then what did it say? Should we then make mirth? Again, the other day you had Thanksgiving where, the majority of our people were making mirth to a holiday, based upon the slaughter of our brothers. We should not be, you should not be celebrating any, holidays anyway, if you know this truth. But for you Israelites out there, you should not be in the spirit of mirth. You can see that America's collapsing, economically, militarily, morally, on all levels. And this government is becoming much more, despotic and totalitarian, and the main target is you Israelites. So the main thing you should be doing is trying to come back to your power. Arise ye and departing from this place spiritually. But the majority of you, as we've been saying, you still want to try to go down to Egypt and Pharaoh for help.
Right, Khan. And what does the scriptures say, man? The scriptures tell you that, basically a great sword was given to him, man, to take peace from the earth. Now, at one point in time, he was able to come on, the TV with his suit and tie, right? Get in front of the audience, and convince the people with good words and fair speeches, right? To basically decide with them. But now as people is beginning to wake up, right? He's being revealed for the devil that he is, what's happening, man? Those speeches aren't working anymore. So, and he's being revealed, right? Lie after lie, man. He's got to cover up the last lie, and then the last lie, and then the last lie. Okay? Well, guess what's going to happen, man? He's going to pick up that sword again, like what the scripture said, because, the witchcraft isn't working anymore. Okay? And he's going to come down on who? The 12 tribes. And it's beginning now, man.
That's why it says in Revelation 12, verse 12, he cometh down in great wrath because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And he's going to have to go for what he knows, swinging that sword one last time, as it's about to go into. We're at verse 11.
Verse 11, it says, and he had given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished, to give it into the hand of the slayer.
Now let's see who this sword's mainly going to be swung against.
Cry and howl, Son of Man, for it shall be upon my people. It shall be upon all the princes of Israel. Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people. Smite therefore upon thy thigh.
Point blank period. That sword is going to be upon my people, all the princes of Israel. And going back to that Jeremiah 50, verse 33, Israel and Judah were oppressed together here in Egypt or America by Esau. And hey, again, that sword is about to be swung on you Israelites, and we can see that cutback is happening right now, with these ice raids on the northern kingdom, which is going to trickle down to the southern kingdom. Even with the northern kingdom, they were coming against actual legal citizens. So what do you think they're going to do when they come against the southern kingdom? But, that's...
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what you were saying, about how these the different tribes, how it's coming down on the southern tribes, and I said earlier how they going to tell the difference. This could be a big play on what the start to get the prophets too. Mm-hmm. They could say, hey, look, you look like a Haitian to me, and what you gonna do, man? You know what I'm saying? Because their guidelines and rules and regulations we could clearly see is different from the standard police, so to speak.
Yeah, they're moving with impunity out here.
Yep.
And immunity from Nero 47. But with that, we hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. And before we get out of here, again, as always, we're going to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors
to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem, Rakakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there pushing this word and truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure to the end. Shalom.
Shalom.